We're going to be talking about the year 2012. Think back, Jeffrey.
Okay.
2012.
I remember something about a brief. We were pitching an idea to Audio Network once again to go to New Orleans to do some recording. And I believe the brief said something like 30 pieces of music crossing 6 different genres over 4 days.
Yeah, and I don't think at the beginning we thought they'd say yes to 30 pieces of music.
No, yes.
We thought they would probably say, well, let's do some of that.
Yeah, we wanted to make it worth their while. That's pretty much why we
Yeah, well, that was the pitch.
Yeah,
and then they said,
yeah.
Sure.
And we were like, okay.
It was at this point, Your Honor, that I lost my presence of mind.
Hi, I'm Jeff Megan.
And I'm David Tobin.
And this is Two Composers, Two Continents. Appropriately, let's call this section "What Were We Thinking?"
That is true.
Okay, so what needs to happen here? All right, you just got a gig to do 30 pieces of music in a place you've never recorded before, or even been, really, because you hadn't even been there.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, and can you remember, I mean, off the top of your head, can you remember what genres we were talking about? We could figure this out together. What do we got?
Yeah, it was New Orleans blues.
There was
trad
jazz.
Trad jazz, instrumental pieces. There was Cajun and Zydeco.
Yeah.
There was some media, like New Orleans-based media music, which, was just like dramedy.
And then we did some sort of Dr. John Swampy stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then we did some spirituals.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was hugely varied.
Yeah.
And how did you feel? You take this brief, and what were your emotions?
I was frightened. I was just scared. We'd never done it before.
Yeah.
We'd never done a remote recording before.
You mean as in remote, as in going to a place you've not been?
Yes. We'd recorded either, in the UK where you are or in Chicago where I am, but we'd never gone someplace that neither of us had recorded before.
Yeah.
And then we were on the line. They said yes to 4 days of recording 30 pieces of music. I mean, that's insane. What the hell
What were you thinking?
Oh my God. So I was a little stressed out. But before we even get to that, let's talk about why we wanted to go to New Orleans in the first place.
Well, for me, I'm going to, as I so often do, talk about me.
Oh, God, again.
I remember, being 9 years old and having a vinyl record that my dad bought me. And it was a record of some Disney tunes, but one of the tunes on it was what's it called? I Want to Be Like You.
From the Bare Necessities, or is it?
No, it was I Want to Be Like You. It was
Yeah.
Louis Prima and the band singing I Want to Be Like You, and Louis Prima is this is the NOLA sound, the New Orleans sound.
Yeah.
And I wore this thing out. I was just mesmerized by it, and over and over and over again. They must have been sick of it in my house, but I loved this thing. There's just something about that sound to me that it says both authentic but live, but it just spoke to me. And there was just something about it, and it's always been that way for me. Also, in my teens, I had a bunch of Dr. John pieces. I just loved that rolling piano sound. I don't know. It just spoke to me, and I was always also the costumes and seeing pictures of it always seemed so different from my world.
Yeah.
Always fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about me? What about you?
Well, yeah, much the same. I mean, from a young age, I do remember, God, being very young, being in the school library and coming across a book about New Orleans, or maybe it was a magazine, and seeing the French Quarter, and there's no place else in America that really looks like that, and I was pretty fascinated by that. But then musically, both my parents were musicians, and I had always had that kind of music going in my house. Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. Those are just music that I and so many other people grew up with, right?
Yeah.
But then when Harry Met Sally came out, and Harry Connick Jr.
came
on the scene thanks to that soundtrack, and that was like, wow, so this guy is our age, and he's playing this music that, was always cool, but now it's even cooler.
I didn't even know until not that long ago that he was even, at the time I didn't know that he was
from New Orleans.
a New Orleans guy. Just didn't know.
I remember an interview with him because of that soundtrack, and it was in New Orleans. They were doing the interview, and you could hear the steamboat whistle going behind him.
Oh, really?
And he referenced it in the interview, like, here we are in New Orleans. And I was like, wow, it's just it's a magical place. It's a magical place.
For me, my emotion going back to that, about when we knew we were going to do this, I had the terror like you had the terror, or the certain uncomfortable, what were we thinking? How are we going to write so much music?
Yeah.
But as so often in my lack of zenness, I immediately thought, what about the process of all of this? How do we even approach doing all this? Not just the writing, but all of it.
Right.
And we knew from very early on that Andrew Sunnox was going to be coming with us, the founder and chairman of Audio Network, and I didn't want to look like an idiot.
Ramped it up a little bit, right?
Yeah, and we're on the line for all the money, but also just don't want to look like a fool.
Yeah.
But normally you've got some sense of stability of we'll pick people we know. The safety in it. But there was nothing.
That did not exist.
No. So we ended up talking to contractor.
Well, let's go through the list
the process
here. So
here.
The process list, and I'm just going to read these really quickly.
Absolutely.
We need to find a contractor, understand the recording rules. We needed to find a studio. We needed to agree with musicians, find singers, write 30 pieces of music across 6 genres, get them approved, do demos, do the music prep, and then bring them home and mix them. And
you just think, what were we thinking?
So how did this process begin then?
We needed to start with where are we going to record it? Who's going to help us find musicians? How are we going to do that bit? Because it was all wrapped up. Because normally where we record isn't related to how we find the musicians. In that sense, you've got an independent contractor. But what we ended up finding, I think we hugely lucked in this case, was a studio where the producer in the studio happened to also be a contractor.
The owner of the studio.
The owner of the studio, excuse me.
Yeah.
And his name is Mark Bingham. And this was Piety Studios. And I rang Mark after we'd talked about it and looked at things, and some of the credit lists and things that had gone through the studio were really legit. That was the thing for me, that looking at a studio where Dr. John had recorded some stuff, where the brass bands had recorded.
There was a history there.
John Fishwick, who worked at the studio, had credits on songs in the key of life. I felt safe that we were in the right place. But still, you're taking a big risk. You're booking all these musicians on his say-so, and you try and look people up and find out what they've done. But still, there's.
Mind you, it's not that long ago. But what year was this? We said 2012.
Well, we recorded in 2013, but 2012 when we were doing the prep work.
Maybe even 11 too. It sounds like. Maybe more, but the internet wasn't quite as robust as it is today, right? Not everyone had a web page. Not everyone had stuff on, so accessible to listen to. But
also you've got to bear in mind that some of the musicians in this, there is a sort of the overlapping, if you will, Venn diagram of the musicians that would have web pages that you would then listen to stuff or there'd be information on. It wasn't necessarily like that. And this takes us to another issue when finding these musicians, that Mark was very upfront when I spoke to him. He said, I remember this, that the tricky bit was that a lot of the musicians you might work with to create the sound of the city were not music readers.
Right.
And we needed, you've got 4 days, you've got to have this process down tight.
We need people who read music,
but you want people who read it, but also have the authenticity, the reality of the sound.
Which really, that probably helped us out because that made the pool of people to use much smaller.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So then we've got a list of musicians that we're going to work with, and we checked out availabilities, and we've got all of that. I remember speaking to him and saying, well, what about the union rules? What about how much can we do? What can we overdub? Because in other cities, there's very specific rules. And at that time, I remember there just being a little silence on the phone, and then he laughed. And he just
you don't
said,
have to worry about
You
it.
don't have to worry about that. I'm not sure it's the same now, but certainly then. And I don't know how I felt about that. I felt kind of like, what are we walking into here? It felt like another world.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was definitely another world. There's no question about that.
But what about singers?
So,
what about singers?
Well, it was much the same, right? I mean, he referred singers to us, and we tried to do as much, research as we could about people.
Yeah.
But
so who we got here? Who are we talking about?
So we a gentleman by the name of Big Al Carson, who was a pretty popular dude down there, right? And he was on Bourbon Street all the time.
I used to know what it took to love you.
We had Meshia Lake, who is still down there singing. Just amazing voice, just so unique.
I never thought I could be as happy as she until I
And in the Cajun world, we had a Zydeco guy called Carol Berzas. We also had a group to do the spirituals that we talked about, the Friendly Travelers.
Keep hitting the microphone. Sorry, folks.
A 4-piece singing group.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
Wendell Brunius, who was our lead trumpet player for the whole project, but he also, at the time, was one of the head guys at Preservation Hall.
Down on the bayou, jazz and harmony fill the air.
Yeah, we were supposed to have Al sing this song that when he then sang, it just wasn't the right style for his voice.
It was the wrong vibe for him, yeah.
But the information on that singing, he was being guided by Wendell.
Right.
And eventually, as Wendell was guiding him and singing lines to him to guide him, we eventually, I remember, said, but you're singing it. How would you feel?
How would you feel about singing this?
He was not jazzed about the idea to start with.
He was a little shy,
reluctant, but it worked out.
Sounds great.
But we
Such
are
a cool
getting
dude.
well ahead of ourselves here. We should talk about the logistics.
Before we do that, let's talk about. Don't we need to talk about writing all this stuff? Or
Well,
how it
probably
all
yes.
happened?
I mean, ideas were flying about all over the place.
Yeah, the big thing that worried me was actually getting enough material, good material, to record over these days.
I seem to remember we weren't sending each other at this stage fully formed, finished, long things. We were sending very short snippets of,
and
is this worth pursuing? And they were going both ways all of the time over very slow internet at my stage, which is
Right.
hard to send stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a vast and rich, part of music, jazz music and the brass band stuff. I mean, there's just so much involved. The New Orleans backbeat drum stuff. And I mean, there's so many things that you could bring to it.
And I didn't know, I mean, I should say that my process personally, I didn't grow up with all of that stuff. I grew up with some of the styles, but not all of them. So I spent a fair amount of time locked away just listening, repetitive listening until I felt like I really understood, where we're going here, and I'm not sort of just picking at a style and trying to approximate.
Yeah. I mean, I had been listening to this stuff my whole life. I mean, we talked about the Cajun Zydeco stuff. I was a big Little Feat fan, and that they do a lot of that kind of stuff.
That was all new to me.
Squirrel Nut Zippers, I love them, which has a real sort of dark New Orleans sound. And I mean, certainly Harry Connick Jr. and, all the, Satchmo stuff. And I mean, there's a lot to, that's a wide range of music to pull from.
It is. And I mean, some of that stuff I was really intimately familiar with. And some of it, I mean, like the Cajun, the Zydeco stuff, I mean, we said we were going to do this stuff. And then I thought, okay,
I don't know how to do it. I don't even like this music.
Well, it was more, I don't know this music.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly I've agreed to do something that I'm
exactly
not quite, there with.
Yeah.
So a lot of listening.
Again, back to the top. What were we thinking?
So there were a lot of ideas flying about from each other. And when you send an idea to me, I send an idea to you. How do we then proceed with that?
I do remember we were throwing demos together left and right. I mean, there was a lot of, I'll work on this, you work on that, and then we kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, a huge amount of the work fell on you just to get it on paper, just to be able to bring it down, because that's not my gig, right?
And then at that stage, the arranging part of that, that's where I suddenly start thinking, I don't want to approximate any of this. So I start becoming really nitpicky about listening to voicings and lengths of intros on. I mean, some of the Nola stuff, there's some really, really long intros on songs before you get anywhere near a vocal.
Right.
And so that's part of the style. It's part of the feel. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's TV music. I am given that a second thought in those areas. This is about being true to the style, to what it is.
To the region.
So we're listening to specifics of instrumentation, of voicing, of lengths of different sections, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's paper time when we get to that.
Paper time.
Paper time. And then I had a meltdown, and I remember having a moment, bearing in mind at this stage that we've probably been writing together maybe 18 months, 2 years, but not 15 years.
Yeah, not a long time.
And I think, I can't do all of this. I'm doing 18-hour days at this stage, and I can't do, this is just...
Oh, right. So alluding to Freddie, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to need, and I think, I feel bad because, we're writing as a two, and part of my gig in this is arranging. I have to ring you and say, I think we need another arranger to do bits of this because I just can't get it all done. I remember feeling that I look like a schmuck bringing in somebody else.
That's too bad.
But we rang our great friend Tim Garland and said, who can you recommend?
Who do you got? Yeah.
Who you got in the back?
Yeah, what do you got in the back?
And he recommended
Freddie Gavita.
Freddie Gavita.
Freddie's great.
Yeah.
Is he still in the Ronnie Scott's band?
Yeah. Still going strong with all of that stuff. And we've worked with him many times since. And so he took on 3 or 4 of the arrangements, I think. I can't remember. Something like that. And it was such a help, such a relief because just there's only so much... before you're going to miss a beat. You're not going to be creative. You can't get it done. Yeah,
I'm sure it was a weight off the shoulders. I know. I mean,
it was.
For me too, just to get the stuff done. I mean, it was like, we got to go.
I mean, there was only one of the tunes that I was really comfortable I could get done just thinking about it, which was When the Saints Go Marching In. Because I wrote one bar. I wrote the title and said, please play When the Saints Go Marching In.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've hit the mic now. and that was literally what was on the page.
Yeah.
And when we did that, just jumping forwards and they hit record, they said, we got this.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I always felt slightly bad because it was not our arrangement.
So anyway, so let's move forward. We got to...
Yeah.
So let's talk about the recording and just the day. You show up the first day of recording and what happens?
The outside of the studio, there's no sign. It's in a pretty rundown neighborhood. There's no signs on the door. There's nothing to say welcome to a studio. I was even sure we were in the right place. And we walk in and there was an engineer there maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He was there making coffee in the kitchen.
Yeah, but that was it. There were no musicians and we get to the time that we're going to start and we're used to, it's 10 o'clock, go. Right. Everybody's in their seats, go. And we get to 10 o'clock and nobody turns up. Nobody. Not one person. And we get to 10 past 10 to 10:15 to 10:30.
They're strolling in slowly.
Yeah. And then they get there and then most of them said, I'm just going to go for a smoke.
They go out back and they're sitting at the picnic table having a smoke and talking.
And you know what? Andrew Sonics didn't say anything. He just raised an eyebrow. And I felt like, okay.
But in the end, that was just how, how at that time, for this particular session, and in our conversations, I kind of discovered, I think a lot of this was how it was presented to them, just as a, hey guys, I got a gig for you guys, why don't you come on by? Yeah. But they weren't concerned about when they finished. They were like,
this was a Nola time kind of thing that you do it and we're here now, we do it. But in fairness, I had conversations with a couple of the musicians who've become great friends who said that once they saw how carefully we'd planned what we were doing and how it was charted and the great songs that we'd written and all of that stuff, it became more, okay, we're going to really, this
tighten the screws here.
Because there is a little warming up process in this. This was not like other recordings we'd done. It was much more fluid.
Yes.
Would you say?
There was a lot of producing on the fly and just making it sound the way it should sound within the constraints of what the dots we had on the page.
Yeah, and there were some musicians there. I mean, there were some colourful characters. I mean,
oh my God, so great.
Chaz Leary on washboard.
Washboard Chaz.
Washboard Chaz.
He has a washboard and a little bicycle bell on the top and a tin can.
Yeah.
And so we're playing whatever song he's playing to. Yeah, chicka, 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 chicka. Then ping!
Yeah.
Hits the bell, and we're both like...
And I remember Andrew saying to him, so why have you got your name on the board? And he just said, marketing. I was like, it's fantastic. So,
man. So what an adventure. I mean...
Absolutely. And we spent that time doing the styles that were not Cajun with those musicians. Mm. But then we had a changeover when the Cajun musicians came in. It were people who were from that style.
Right. And really, I think it was only 3 tunes, right?
Yeah.
3 Cajun tunes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought in an accordion player and a fiddle player.
Yep.
And Carol came in to sing.
Oh, there's a funny story with that. Mm. So I mean, I'd left you with lyric writing on that stuff. That was all you. And and they, I think the beautiful lyric you came up with was
some of my best.
Juden Daden Day, Juden Duden Daden Day.
Yeah,
that's genius. Mm. And I mean, I did think he was going to approximate that. Mm-hmm. And then I mean, he came in with a sheet.
He literally wrote out.
Yeah, syllable by syllable, Juden Daden Day, and it was it's there, absolutely brilliant.
Yes. So you're at the 4 days have gone amazingly. Gone by, right? And well, we had a couple of vocal days at the end. And tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean,
certainly Big Al and.
Yeah, I mean, Big Al was such a character. I mean, not related to his vocals, but he was called Big Al because he's, in US terms, he was probably at least 500 pounds.
He's a big guy. Yeah.
And in UK terms, I mean, he was pushing 40 plus stone. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, he was an imposing character, but just such a lovely man. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't know how much schooling he'd had. Mm-hmm. So reading words was not his strong point. Mm-hmm. Certainly computers, not a thing. And going back to, when you want somebody to learn a tune, now you email things backwards and forwards. Right. And I spoke to him on the phone, and I said to him, so how do you want things? And he said, can you sing me the tunes? Mm-hmm. Thought,
so
what?
You were singing the tunes to him over the phone. Do you think he was recording them?
I think he was recording a voice memo. At the time, that did not occur to me. I just thought, I just feel like an idiot. I'm just singing to you down a phone. Yeah. Where is this going?
Well,
and I
mean, the amazing part of that story is that when he came in the studio,
they were
immaculate. He was the only one who knew what the hell was going on as far as the vocalists. I mean, everyone did a fantastic job, but he knew every word. I mean, he had practiced those tunes.
But I think probably because of that was his process, and that he got completely. That was how he learned.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were on it. And recording with Al was. That was different from any other vocal recording I think I've ever been a part of. I was wide-mouthed watching that.
Let me go up, let me go down. Take me to the side, all over town. Make me feel free to do what I want to do forever, yeah.
And then recording with Meshia was a wonderful process because she just had such a laid-back, different way of doing things.
And just such a unique sound to her voice.
Yeah.
I never thought I could be as happy as she until I found that girl lived in misery. Oh no, I never saw it coming.
She sounds like Billie Holiday to me. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah, she sounds 35 years older than her age, don't you think?
I
mean, it was just completely different.
So cool.
And Carol, we've spoken about the Friendly Travelers. That was a kick. Mm-hmm. We'd got 4 vocalists in a room, and we realized very quickly that the arrangements that we'd written, this was not going to be read. It wasn't their thing. That they were these are guys who work in the gospel field of, within a church scenario, that reading these arrangements wasn't going to work. So I remember standing in the middle of them and just constantly turning circles and singing them a line. They would sing it back and singing another line, and we pieced it together and did that until we got to doing things like Wade in the Water, when we listened again to a demo, and then they just said, I got this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water.
then I don't remember the guy's name, but the guy was singing bass. Said, "I've got an idea."
Yeah.
And he just
sang a bass line.
sang a bass line over it that was like he was a bass guitar. It's a fantastic time.
Towards the end of the writing process, wrote a song called "I Climbed," which was wrote the song about someone overcoming the crazy experience of Katrina, right?
Which was only, what, 8 years before?
8 years before, right? Yeah, something like that, yeah. And just, so it talked about the suffering and still rising, and I climbed at the end. Nothing's going to keep me down, I'm going to climb, and this and that. So it was a cool song, And
did we have a vocalist planned for that at that time?
I don't know. I thought the Travelers were going to try and do it, or one of them, but it didn't.
It just didn't
wasn't
work
in the
out.
cards. So when we got back to Chicago, I got a guy named Lacey Brown, who John Blaine gave us or introduced us to.
And John Blaine, we've worked with as a musician, but he was also the music prep person out of Chicago.
Yeah. So Lacey Brown was great, and he came into the studio and he sang that, and he sang Great Big Smile.
It's undeniable how a smile can change your view. So put a great big smile on you.
And then he did I Climbed, which was total other end of the spectrum as far as songs are concerned.
Yeah.
Right? And so as I was driving him back to the train, because he took the train up, he told me that he had cancer, and he'd been fighting cancer for years. And that this song literally described his dealing with cancer. So I just thought, my God, this is such a beautiful... And he was like, this song is a gift that came to me. And gets me a little choked up talking about it.
And I don't think I've ever told you this, but I remember when we came back and we'd got all of these songs, and I'd got all these songs and I played them all to my family. And at that stage, my son, who are now 2 sons, but at that stage 1, and he was mesmerized by that song. And
Really?
he said, play it again, play it again, play it again. He was only young. He was maybe 4 or 5, put that song on. And he didn't even have to name it.
Wow, that's so
And
cool.
he used to go round and round and listen over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loved
So,
it. Yeah.
a very special, unexpected moment.
So one
just
last
proud to
quick
be-
thing we should talk about from the session, because one of the pieces of music we didn't write. I mean, before the session. So we got 10 minutes before the end of a session. Just a funny story.
Yeah,
10 minutes, and we kind of finished.
yeah.
And then I can't remember whether you said it or I said it. Somebody said, anything we didn't cover from the whole world of
New Orleans, the New Orleans canon.
And what did they say? How did it go? Somebody said,
The Meters.
yeah.
Do
the
something
Meters.
like the Meters, and we're like,
think-
okay.
Has anybody got a riff or a thing? And this was a collaboratively, I think our piano player, Larry Siebert,
Started playing
just
something.
played a riff, and then Matt Perrine on sousaphone. Actually, I think it was bass.
I think it was
for that.
bass. And
played a bass
think
line.
We sang a couple
We
lines
sang some
out,
lines
do
and
something
got
like
some
this.
horns.
Yeah.
And we took a 10-minute, wrote something, recorded it. It's been used many times.
Absolutely, yeah.
God bless you for my mortgage payments. But it was just so organic, so wonderful.
And what a great way to finish all those crazy, crazy days of recording is
Oh, my
to
goodness.
just throw something together at the very end. Yeah.
And what was your final abiding memory coming out of all of that?
My final abiding memory, it was just, it was such a learning experience. I can't even explain how much we learned about the recording process, about preparing. That was the most valuable part about it. Some of the greatest music that we've written, I think. I just love listening to so much of that stuff. And then that I wanted to come back and do it again.
Yeah, and one of the things I think I got from that trip was that I learned to trust myself and my instincts, and to trust you and your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, it isn't. And if it does, then don't second guess it. If it feels right, it's right. And I learned that from that trip. Yeah, that and Andrew Sonics doesn't like grits, but that's another story for another day.
There you have it. Well, we hope you guys learned something and enjoy us spouting on about our adventures in New Orleans. Who knows? There may be another podcast about New Orleans coming up,
Yeah,
too.
we've been a few times. More stories.
Yeah.
Until the next time.
Thank you so much. Special thank you to Audio Network for allowing us to use the music you heard on today's podcast. We'd also like to dedicate this podcast to the late Big Al Carson and Lacey Brown. Now here's Lacey singing I Climbed.
I've seen times that you would not believe. I've been down so low I could hardly breathe. But then I found me an ocean of hope down at my feet, and I would rise. I've had faith torn from my hands. I said goodbye to all of life's plans, and right there at the mountain, called my last chance, I climbed. Oh, 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 yes, I climbed. I climbed. I've lost more than everything. Felt so alone, thought I didn't have a name. Oh, but my last act of mercy before I died was to try. I've been down roads I could not pass, no. I felt shame in thinking it would not last, but I looked up at tomorrow through the lessons in my past, and I climbed.